teachers, friends, mentors, well-wishers. There could be just n number of people in your life. And it is so much of the encouragement that they have provided because of which you've been able to reach so far. When we succeed as an individual, it is never the success of one person alone. And this is true for everybody here, including me. Today, when I stand before you as a public representative, as a minister in this government, it is not my achievement alone. Like the way I have been built over with the contribution of so many people, so are you. So today is also a day to recognize all those visible or invisible forces who have contributed to making what you are. I would like to offer my deepest appreciation. I see lots of parents in the balcony up there. I say namaste to you. And my appreciation goes to all of you for supporting your children and bringing them so far. I know parents and families provide a lot of support in the form of their patience, their devotion. They fund your education, and they work so hard to do the same. And similarly, the teachers, your faculty members, they're not just here at the institute imparting you all the subject knowledge, but while they impart this clinical excellence to you people, they're also instilling some real good values in you. What is ethics in medical science? What is compassion? What is empathy? That's also what your teachers offer. And all this goes a long way in making you a good doctor who can really serve humanity. And I'm reminding this to you. A lot of other speakers who spoke before me have also kind of expressed the same sentiments. Reason being, unless you remember that your accomplishment is not your alone. It is so many different people who came together in creating, in making you what you are today. You will never have the willingness and the passion to pay back to the society. And this is the reason why each one of us who's here on the dais today is making you realize that you should never forget this one thing. And that's what will make you a good doctor. What we want each one of you to remember is that medical profession, it brings to you both a profound privilege and also a weighty responsibility. While it will make you receive a lot of respect and trust from the people all around, you will not get all that for free. There's something in exchange which is expected. And that is your spirit to serve the society. That is for your integrity. That is for the compassion and empathy which you will offer to your patients while you serve them. And these are things, these are lessons that you must remember all your life to make yourself grow in your profession every single day. It's also important to remind yourself repeatedly that your convocation is not the end of education. Because the field that you've entered is the one which is constantly evolving. It is rapidly changing. So every day, there are new challenges. There are new diseases. Today, when we look at India and globally, We say that there is a huge burden of non-communicable diseases, lifestyle diseases as we commonly call them. There are maternal and child health issues that we need to respond to. There are issues pertaining to mental health crisis, climate change related risks, antimicrobial resistance. And recently we all witnessed the COVID-19 pandemic. So anytime there could be an attack by a new virus which could have been not heard of before. So this is a field which expects you to constantly adapt to the newer challenges which come up from time to time. Even your patients will have different kinds of expectations from you as times will change. And it is not an easy burden. This is a huge responsibility. So as a doctor, you have to be a lifelong learner. You have to constantly update your knowledge, improve your clinical skills. But besides that, it is important for you to remember that your patients not only need your clinical excellence, your patients also need a communication, an effective communication. I'm sure your medical curriculum must have taught you the relevance of doctor-patient communication. And that is so important. If I visualize myself as an individual who seeks help, and I'm not somebody who's a medical graduate, I don't understand anatomy, I don't understand physiology the way you all do. But when I, as a patient, visit a doctor, what is my expectation? Of course, I want the doctor to treat me, but before that, what do I expect? I expect my doctor to listen patiently. I expect my doctor to understand what exactly my concern is. And then I also expect that my doctor should convince me with the kind of treatment he feels is the best for me. And unless that trust is built up between the doctor and the patient, even the best form of treatment would not succeed. So it is so important to communicate rightly with your patient. So as you begin your journey, you're going to be meeting so many different kinds of patients. And every patient is going to be different. So while you update your knowledge and constantly enhance your clinical skills, it's also equally important that you hone your communication skills, and that is what will make you a better doctor every day. Friends, a lot has been spoken about the Institute today. I would like to utilize my time in taking you through how the healthcare scenario of the country has transformed in the past 11 and a half years under the leadership of our current Prime Minister, whose team I am a part of. And I've had the privilege of serving this ministry earlier as well. So this is my second tenure as a Minister of State within the same ministry, and I've seen how in these 3 tenures, we have been able to make a profound transformation in the healthcare landscape of this country. As doctors who would be moving out to practice, you must know how the healthcare scenario is evolving. Today, this government has made its best efforts to strengthen the entire pyramid of healthcare: primary, secondary, tertiary. Why? Because we want three guarantees to our citizens. Healthcare should be accessible for all, healthcare should be affordable for all, and healthcare should be quality healthcare for all. So when you want to assure accessible, affordable, quality healthcare to 1.46 billion citizens, it is not an easy goal at all. But this government does not think small. And we have decided that we will make this a reality. So while we are busy expanding the range of clinical services which are being provided at the basic primary healthcare facility, which is a network of more than 1,78,000 Ayushman Arogya Mandir, as we call them, we are also fixing up the critical gaps in our secondary healthcare facilities, which are our CHCs, our sub-district hospitals, our district hospitals. And we are also expanding our tertiary healthcare institutions and reimagining medical education. You're one of those privileged ones who have the opportunity of studying in such a great institution. And so many youngsters like you dream of becoming good doctors, studying in government medical institutions. And we want to give that privilege to more and more of our bright young minds, which is why in all these years, we have increased the number of medical colleges from 387 to 803. The MBBS seats in the country used to have only 51,000 or so. Today, I very proudly say 1,28,000 MBBS seats. We used to have only 31,000 PG seats. Today we have around 82,000 PG seats. We have more All India Institute of Medical Sciences in the country, from 7 to 23. That's the journey we have traveled in 11.5 years. There is constant expansion of medical education infrastructure, while also strengthening the clinical facilities which are provided at the public health organizations. And so many different schemes of Government of India, the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, which are today providing financial protection to the poor and needy population. So there are schemes like, you may be hearing of, reading about them all the time. Ayushman Bharat Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana. There are large number of people in this country, in this huge population of 1.46 billion, who still don't have money in their pockets to get a secondary or a tertiary care treatment. Schemes like Ayushman Bharat PMJ are today guaranteeing treatment worth 5 lakh rupees, free of cost treatment, to 62 crore citizens in this country. Schemes like Pradhan Mantri Jan Aushadhi Pariyojana, Amrit pharmacies, these are making available generic and branded drugs, medical devices, surgical implants, all of these at much discounted rates. And these are schemes which are not like ordinary schemes. These schemes are creating a silent social revolution